Listen here, you don't belong here. Officer Tank Morrison's voice thundered through the marble halls, towering over the small woman standing before him. Behind him, a wall of officers smirked, feeding off his cruelty. Sarah didn't flinch. "My brother deserves justice," she said, her voice steady. Tank's laugh echoed like a knife. "That junkie got what he deserved," he sneered, spitting words like bullets. Then he crushed her brother's photo beneath his boot. "Know your place. This is a white man's courtroom." What Tank didn't know was that Sarah Williams wasn't just a grieving sister. She was a fighter, trained, focused, and determined to bring him down. That morning, the courthouse stood like a fortress of marble and glass. Crowds filled the steps, reporters swarming for a glimpse of history. The hearing that could change policing forever, the Marcus Williams Police Reform Act. Inside, uniforms filled one side of the room, activists the other. Sarah sat quietly in the front row, her modest suit hiding the strength she had built since the night Marcus died. They called it suicide. But Sarah knew better. The bruises, the broken camera footage, the perfect police report. And the name on that report, Bradley Tank Morrison. While Tank saw her as just another protester, Sarah had become something far more dangerous. A lawyer with evidence, discipline, and vengeance disguised as calm. Tank strutted across the courtroom like a general. 15 years on the force had turned arrogance into armor. To him, Marcus was just another criminal, a problem erased. But he never realized the cost of that erasure. The judge, Patricia Williams, carried her own scars. Her nephew, also killed by police. Hidden empathy simmered beneath her calm expression. When recess came, Tank held court in the lobby, reporters circling him. "That little girl thinks she knows police work," he boomed. "I was protecting this city before she could spell justice." Sarah stood just feet away, gathering her files as his words cut deep. He mocked her brother's death, unaware she was listening, and even more unaware that she was about to destroy him in that very courtroom. The time for silence was over. Tank Morrison loved attention, and the crowd of reporters gave him plenty. When he noticed them watching, he walked over to Sarah's table with fake calm, his huge frame blocking the light. "Maybe stick to paperwork you can handle," he sneered, and bumped her table hard enough to send her files flying across the floor. Among them, a photo of her brother Marcus, bruised and lifeless. Tank stepped on it, grinding his boot across Marcus's face. Sarah's jaw tightened, her hands trembling as she picked up the photo. That was the only sign of the storm building inside her. Tank had just declared war, and he didn't even know it. Later, outside the courtroom, Tank gave an impromptu TV interview. "I feel for grieving families," he said, dripping fake sympathy. "But emotion can't drive policy. That so-called community activist inside, she's never walked a beat. Her brother made violent choices. Period." Inside, Sarah heard every word. Her pen snapped in half. Tank had just called her brother a criminal on live television, 20 feet from her seat. He went on for 12 minutes, destroying Marcus's name and mocking Sarah as a naive college activist. When the cameras stopped, Tank strolled over with his usual arrogance. "Enjoying the show, counselor?" he said. Sarah looked up calmly. "Officer Morrison, were you involved in Marcus Williams' arrest?" "Supervising officer," he replied proudly. "Handled everything by the book." "Interesting," Sarah said softly. "Because the report lists you as present during his final hours." Tank smirked, confident in his lies. During court, he mocked her openly, whispering conspiracy theories to his union rep, calling her work amateur hour. The judge warned him, but Tank only smiled. Every laugh from the officers behind him fueled his ego. But Sarah was watching. Every word, every twitch, every defensive answer. By the final break, Tank couldn't resist one last jab. He loomed over her desk as she reviewed autopsy photos. "Still playing detective, sweetheart? Your brother chose his path." He picked up a photo, Marcus's bruised hands showing clear signs of a struggle. Evidence Tank claimed never existed. "Face reality," Tank sneered. He wasn't innocent. He got what was coming. Sarah said nothing. But behind those steady eyes, she was already planning how to prove every word he said was a lie. Tank's words confirmed Sarah's worst fear. Marcus had been right. The corruption she suspected is real, and Tank just exposed it himself. "Instead of chasing ghosts," he sneers, "ask yourself why your brother died in a cell. Maybe he was just another criminal who made bad choices." Sarah meets his eyes, calm, and unblinking, not with anger, but calculation. "Officer Morrison," she says quietly, "you've said enough." He mistakes her restraint for weakness. "Have I? Maybe you'll learn the same lesson your brother did." His threat hangs in the air, caught on every courthouse camera. Sarah leaves the courtroom in silence, her composure cracking only inside the empty restroom. She grips the sink, Tank's words echoing in her mind. Then her phone buzzes. "Judge Martinez." "Sarah, he's provoking you." "He threatened me on camera," she replies, voice trembling with controlled fury. "And he just confessed without realizing it." Martinez nods. Tank's arrogance is his downfall. He doesn't know who he's really facing. Sarah exhales, centers herself. The grief fades, replaced by something sharper. The grieving sister is gone. In her place stands the strategist, the soldier, the predator. Back in the courtroom, Tank basks in applause, bragging about justice and criminals making choices. Sarah rises slowly, each step deliberate. "Your Honor," she says, voice steady as steel. "I'd like to respond." Tank smirks, expecting emotion. Instead, he gets truth. "I appreciate your love of facts, Officer Morrison. Here's one. I am Member of Parliament Sarah Williams, Chair of the Police Oversight Committee. And Marcus Williams was my brother." The courtroom falls dead silent. Tank's smirk vanishes. The trap has closed. The courtroom exploded like a grenade. Tank's face drained of color as reality hit. He had just threatened and humiliated a sitting member of Parliament live on camera. The crowd froze. Reporters scribbled furiously. Even the officers behind him looked horrified. "You're an MP?" Tank stammered. "Yes," Sarah replied calmly. "And for the record, I graduated summa cum laude from Harvard Law, not community college." "Marcus Williams died in your custody, officer." Rage replaced Tank's shock. "I don't care if you're the Queen of England. Your junkie brother got what he deserved," he shouted. The gallery erupted. The judge's gavel pounded. But Tank had lost control. Years of guilt and denial boiled over. He lunged toward Sarah, hands swinging hard. The slap cracked like a gunshot, echoing through the silent room. Sarah didn't fall. She turned with the blow, then struck back. A palm to his chest, air gone. An elbow to his neck, lights out. In just 3 seconds, Tank Morrison, 6'4", 240, hit the marble floor with a sickening thud. Sarah stood tall, blood on her lip, voice steady. "Self-defense," she declared. "And for the record, I am a member of Parliament." Cameras flashed. Reporters screamed. The video went viral within minutes. #MP Fights Back trended worldwide as millions watched a politician drop the cop who killed her brother. By nightfall, Tank was in a hospital bed, neck brace on, giving interviews. He played the victim. "I didn't know she was an MP," he told TV hosts. "She hid her identity. She set me up." Conservative media went wild, calling Sarah a fraud, a manipulator, a politician with a grudge. Within 48 hours, District Attorney Patricia Hawkins charged Sarah with aggravated assault, claiming her hands were deadly weapons. Facing 10 years in prison and expulsion from Parliament, Sarah refused every plea deal. "I defended myself against my brother's killer," she said firmly. "I won't apologize for that." Tank basked in sympathy interviews until the FBI stepped in. Agent Maria Santos reopened Marcus Williams' case. Audio footage from the courtroom revealed Tank's threats, his confession, and the cover-up he thought was buried. This time, the truth was finally on Sarah's side. Tank Morrison's whispered threats finally caught up to him. "Your brother threatened police operations. What did you expect?" Those words, caught on tape, became the key to his downfall. Sarah's defense team, led by civil rights attorney Michael Carter, turned Tank's own statement into a weapon. Carter argued that Marcus Williams wasn't killed in a routine arrest. He was silenced to protect police corruption. Tank's lawyers scrambled, claiming his words were taken out of context, but the damage was done. Federal prosecutors reopened Marcus's case, suspecting civil rights violations. Even Tank's police union began to distance itself. Still, Tank bragged, "I've covered my tracks. The feds will find nothing." But investigators soon uncovered $50,000 in unexplained deposits and phone calls linking Tank to drug dealers Marcus had been exposing. From her Parliament office, suspended and under fire, Sarah found strength knowing the truth was surfacing. Judge Martinez reminded her, "Tank's pride will destroy him." Then came the breakthrough. Marcus's former cellmate, Rico Vasquez, revealed that Marcus had hidden evidence, photos, recordings, and a journal, in a place only Sarah would recognize. Agents searched her apartment and found everything inside their father's old Bible. Marcus's final words froze them. "If something happens to me, it wasn't suicide. Tell Sarah I'm sorry." Now, Tank faced murder charges. His assault case against Sarah vanished as he stood trial before the world. Prosecutors called it what it was, an execution disguised as police duty. Tank's arrogance drove him to testify, insisting Marcus was a criminal who chose violence. But when prosecutors played his own recorded threats, the courtroom fell silent. His voice condemned him more than any witness could. By the end, the once untouchable officer was cornered, exposed, and broken, undone by his own pride and the brother he thought he'd erased. Marcus had hidden evidence that backed up everything he claimed. FBI forensics confirmed the photos were real, showing Officer Tank Morrison accepting $50,000 from drug dealer Carlos Mendoza. The courtroom gasped as the images appeared on giant screens. Tank taking cash, shaking hands with criminals, coordinating with corrupt cops. Marcus had documented it all. Tank snapped on the witness stand, his 15 years of control gone in an instant. Rage filled his face. "You want the truth?" he shouted. Marcus Williams was a dead man the moment he threatened my network. I kept this city clean while politicians looked the other way. One snitch versus hundreds of lives saved. The courtroom froze. On live television, Tank had just confessed to murder. His lawyer begged him to stop, but he was too far gone. He screamed about justice, about Sarah setting him up, about necessary sacrifices. Then the prosecutor's voice cut through the chaos. "Officer Morrison, are you confessing to murdering Marcus Williams?" Tank glared back. "I neutralized a threat. I protected my city." It was a confession, plain as day. Millions watched in horror as his meltdown continued. Bailiffs moved in. The judge called for recess. It was over. Sarah Williams sat in the gallery, tears in her eyes. 3 years of grief, training, and investigation. And now her brother's killer had admitted everything. During the break, the FBI confirmed she was cleared of all charges. But Sarah didn't smile. Justice wasn't just about prison, it was about change. When court resumed, Tank sat silent, drugged, and broken. The jury didn't take long, just 37 minutes. Guilty on all counts: murder, civil rights violations, conspiracy, racketeering. The man who thought he was untouchable would die behind bars. Outside, Sarah stepped into golden afternoon light to a roaring crowd. 3 years ago, my brother Marcus was murdered in police custody, she said. Today, his killer was sentenced to life without parole. But this isn't just about one man. It's about a system that let him operate for 15 years. Behind her, Marcus's smiling photo lit up the plaza, a reminder of what was lost and what was finally restored. Weeks later, Parliament passed the Marcus Williams Police Reform Act, enforcing oversight on corrupt departments and protecting whistleblowers nationwide. Tank's conviction sparked investigations in a dozen other cities, 47 more officers charged. From tragedy came change. From loss came reform. And for Sarah Williams, her brother's voice finally echoed through justice itself. Sarah's story became a movement. The viral 3.2-second video of her taking down Tank hit over 200 million views. Across the world, martial arts schools filled up, especially with women and marginalized communities. #Defend Yourself turned into a global call for empowerment. From Tank's seized assets, over $2 million funded counseling and legal aid for families hurt by police violence. Every Sunday, Sarah visits her brother Marcus's grave. 47 cops arrested this month because of you, she whispers. You're still fighting corruption, baby brother. The media storm faded, but Sarah's impact only grew. She spoke at police academies, human rights conferences, mentored young leaders, and wrote Fighting Back When Justice Requires Courage, a bestseller funding free self-defense and legal aid programs. Police departments nationwide introduced de-escalation training to avoid another Tank Morrison incident. Sarah found happiness again, marrying a fellow parliamentarian who shared her passion for reform. Together they adopted 2 foster kids, children whose parents had died in police custody. On the 3rd anniversary of Tank's conviction, Sarah stood before the National Police Reform Conference. Justice isn't just punishment, she said. Its transformation. The standing ovation lasted 7 minutes. Years later, her brother's legacy lived through the Marcus Williams Police Reform Act, saving lives and holding hundreds of officers accountable. Letters poured in from people whose families were protected because of her work. The Sarah Williams model spread to 12 countries, becoming a blueprint for change. Meanwhile, Tank Morrison spent his life sentence in solitary confinement. The man who tried to silence a grieving sister, now forgotten by his own allies. Sarah's foundation built community centers in dozens of cities, offering legal aid and self-defense training. Every month, she still visits Marcus's grave. 12 more families got justice this month, she says softly, because you were brave enough to record the truth. Her viral video remains the most watched police accountability footage ever, studied in law schools and martial arts academies as proof that courage can change systems. Sarah Williams showed the world that real power isn't about rank or titles. It's about heart. Sometimes, peaceful people must still fight. Justice for Marcus became justice for everyone. If this story moved you, hit subscribe and join us at Black Nation Strength, where real stories of courage and transformation are told exactly as they happened. Because the truth deserves to be heard.